We all know how essential things like cars, computers, and smartphones are in the modern world. But some inventions were so monumental, they literally changed everything and everyone's lives forever. And in today's video, we'll look at 12 such groundbreaking inventions that completely changed the world throughout the ages. Controlling fire was one of humanity's earliest and most game-changing inventions. Our ancestors, who first figured out how to spark a flame, totally upgraded their lifestyle. They no longer had to eat their meals raw. Cooking over an open fire made food so much tastier and easier to digest. Plus, gathering around the campfire warmed everyone up on chilly nights and kept dangerous animals away. Even after all this time, scientists still aren't sure which ancient species first discovered the power of fire. Some evidence points to our ancestor, Homo erectus, roasting marshmallows over flames in Kenya around 1 million years ago. Other clues suggest Neanderthals in Europe and Asia knew how to ignite bonfires, while early humans in Africa had fire starting on lock. Whoever started the first flame, controlling fire was one of the earliest major hacks that helped make us the planet's most dominant species. Before the wheel was added to the mix around 3,500 BC, our ancestors were seriously limited in how much cargo they could haul over land and how far they could roam. Making the wheel itself wasn't so tricky, but figuring out how to attach a stable platform to it was a real challenge. That's why connecting the wheel to its center axle was a true eureka moment. Yet, constructing these early wagons wasn't easy. The holes through the wheel's middle and the stationary axle's ends had to be almost perfectly cylindrical and smooth. Even the size and tightness of fitting the axle inside needed to be just right. Thanks to whoever solved this tricky engineering puzzle, wheels forever changed how much terrain ancient humans could explore. The Romans were next-level pros at mixing up concrete, and their buildings from thousands of years ago are still standing strong to prove it. In places like the giant Colosseum and the domed Pantheon, they combined volcanic ash, lime, and seawater to bind together stones and create solid structures. While the Egyptians dabbled with primitive concrete forms as early as 3000 BC for making mortar, the Romans took it to another level. They may have even discovered secrets to making concrete last hundreds of years through secret ingredients. Some of their bathhouses and iconic buildings from 2,000 plus years ago are still in awesome shape today. But it wasn't until much later that someone had an epic idea to reinforce concrete with steel bars. This genius tweak gave concrete flex it never had before by borrowing some of steel's pulling power. Johannes Gutenberg's printing press was a total game changer for sharing info back in the 1400s. Before the internet took over, nothing spread knowledge more than his revolutionary invention. Gutenberg upgraded old printing tech with awesome new ideas like metal letter molds that let single presses crank out tons of pages super fast, up to 3,600 a day. By 1500, over 1,000 presses were spewing out over 200 million books across Europe. Suddenly, reading wasn't just for rich people anymore. Gutenberg's invention sparked the Age of Enlightenment by making it easier to share new ideas, even those that challenged the status quo. Take the 95 Theses, published in 1518, which triggered the Protestant Reformation and major religious conflicts. The printing press's impact on sparking revolutions, religious upheaval, and new science was so massive that Mark Twain later said all of modern history has Gutenberg to thank, for better or worse. The compass might seem outdated now with GPS and satellites, but back when it was invented, this little magnetic needle totally changed the game of navigation and exploring the planet. Originally made in China, by the 1300s, compasses took over from astronomical tools as sailors' most important piece of tech. Being able to reliably discern direction at all times on the seas launched history's age of discovery. Roaming the oceans with compass guidance is what won Europe mega-riches in power, fueling their later industrial rise. But most significantly, by sailing everywhere, the compass connected separate cultures worldwide in new ways, for both good and ill. Ever thought about how weird it would be if we had to rely only on daylight? Thanks to some ingenious inventors from over a century ago, we can see clearly even after dark. One of the first electric lights was created in the 1800s by Humphrey Davy with his epic carbon arc lamp invention. Then, visionaries like Warren de la Rue and Thomas Alva Edison kept improving light bulb designs throughout that century. And it was Edison and another icon, Joseph Swan, who scored huge in 1879 to 1880 with bulbs that lasted for a super long time. This meant people weren't limited to daylight hours anymore. These bright ideas truly lit the way for our modern world. The telegraph kicked off an entire revolution in how people connect worldwide. Inventors in the 1700s and 1800s pioneered this epic tech that sent messages anywhere using Samuel Morse's legendary coding through wires. Telegraph lines expanded rapidly in the 1850s, and soon, underwater telegraph cables encircled the entire planet. While radio and telephones came later, The original telegraph and wireless updates marked humanity's first major steps into fast global communications. It laid the critical foundations for the information age we live in today. Can you imagine life without cars, trains, planes, or factory machines? Well, that was reality until the late 1600s, when a clever inventor named Thomas Savery created the first steam engine. This groundbreaking machine used heat to pump water, a concept known as external combustion. Then, in the 1700s, James Watt upgraded steam tech and kicked off an epic period of change called the Industrial Revolution. Throughout the 1800s, steam engines transformed transportation, farming, and manufacturing on a global scale. It even powered huge empires like the UK and America. But most importantly, the basic idea of steam turning something set the blueprint for internal combustion and jet engines down the line. So without the original steam engine laying the tracks, we never would have gotten cars zooming or planes soaring in the early 1900s. Do you realize how magnifying lenses have shaped everything we know? It all started around the 1200s, when eyeglasses for blurry vision came on the scene. Then, in the 1500s and 1600s, things got even more exciting. Pioneers like Robert Hooke and Anton van Leeuwenhoek used microscopes to glimpse the tiny, unseen world of living cells. Meanwhile, Galileo Galilei and Johannes Kepler took telescopes into space to plot our planet's place in the wider universe. These early inventions paved the way for modern marvels like electron microscopes and the Hubble telescope. With their incredible magnification, scientists can now see things the human eye never could. Antibiotics have saved literally millions of lives by stopping nasty bacteria from taking over. Pioneers like Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister were the first to realize we had to battle microscopic germs. But it was Alexander Fleming's happy accident in 1928 that kicked off antibiotic history. He discovered the mold penicillin could fight other microbes, which was way better than antiseptics that damaged human cells. Soon, penicillin was widespread and transformed medicine forever. Its impact was biggest on the battlefield. While almost 20% died from pneumonia in World War I, that number dropped to just 1% with penicillin in World War II. The 1930s saw a scientific breakthrough with Enrico Fermi's discovery of nuclear fission, a process splitting atoms to release tremendous energy. His work at the University of Chicago paved the way for nuclear power. The first reactors emerged in the 1950s, with a pilot plant generating electricity in Idaho in 1951. Soon after, the world's first commercial nuclear power station opened in the Soviet Union in 1954, followed by the Shippingport plant in Pennsylvania in 1957. Today, more than 10% of the world's electricity is generated from nuclear reactors. However, concerns remain about human safety after accidents like Chernobyl and Fukushima disasters and the proliferation of nuclear weapons. We can't even imagine a world without the internet, right? Billions of people all over the planet use it every single day to connect, learn, play, and do basically everything else. It all started in the 1960s when some computer geniuses at a US defense agency called ARPA built the first ever computer network, ARPANET, the precursor of the internet. These legends invented a way for computers to share data called packet switching. Then, in the 70s, two engineers named Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn created the crucial TCP and IP protocols that make the whole internet actually work. But the true game changer arrived in the late 1980s with Tim Berners-Lee at CERN. He invented the World Wide Web, basically a giant information filing system for the whole planet. He used cool tools like HTML, URLs, and browsers to make it super easy to find stuff online. Without these pioneers, we wouldn't be exploring a universe of knowledge right at our fingertips today. So let us know in the comments which of these inventions changed your life the most. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Also, press the bell icon for instant notifications so that you never miss a video from Factastic Trivia.